0685.
And we're back, family. So sorry, our guest is here. They are getting settled, and so we're going to go in ahead and get started, and they will join us momentarily. Bear with us, family. Again, you're tuned in to Healing Our Land's live interactive worldwide broadcast. I am your host, Pastor Hobbs. I'll be with you through till 6 p.m. We have the privilege of broadcasting Tuesday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., as well as on Sunday evening, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And we have Rosalind Warnham, who is running for Boston District 3 City Councilor. We have had every candidate on with the exception of John Fitzgerald. And the invitation stands, sir, in community. If you can reach him and have him be able to come on, we would love to have him come on, as every candidate has come on with the exception of him. And our sister Rosalind will be make the 6th of the 7th. He will be the 7th of the 7th. So again, we want to hear from you at 617-282-0685. You can also reach us at www.bostonpraiseradio.tv. There you can see us, you can hear us, and engage in the instant chat there. You want to encourage you to check out our brand new website for Healing Our Land, and you can find that website at www.healingourlandinc.org. That's www.healingourlandinc.org, and there you can learn about our programming to be able to help returning citizens acclimate back into society. Perhaps you know someone who is desiring to acclimate back into society, and we'd be too pleased to be able to help them, as we have some practical resources. And some of those resources, our phones and T-passes and clothing vouchers and mentoring, spiritual counseling, civic education, birth certificates, mental health referrals, and these are clothing vouchers. Again, our website's www.healingourlandinc.org, and this is specifically for returning or returned citizens. And so we're excited about this. We're also going to be going into, that's fine. We're going to be going back into the Suffolk County House of Correction on Thursday. And so that will be happening from 8 a.m. till about 10:30. Again, if you're interested in being a volunteer and coming with us into the House of Correction, we need more volunteers to be able to build our capacity of civically engaging our returning citizens. And so without further ado, our guest is here, and I'm going to bring her on camera where you can see her, you can hear her, and you can call in live. Again, 617-282-0685 is the number to call, 617-282-0685. We are on Pastor Bruce Wall's Facebook page, as well as you can instant chat on the main web page in the chat room. Or perhaps you are incarcerated, you can write us at 670 Washington Street, Dorchester, Mass. 02122. Nope, that's wrong. 670 Washington Street, Dorchester, Mass. 02124. My home is 122. Here is 02124. 02124. And so we want to hear from you, particularly if you're incarcerated, as District 3 does fall. The House of Correction falls in that area. Masson Cass falls in that area, as well as where I live in the 02122 zip code is also in the D3 area. Without further ado, how are you, my sister?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm
well, thanks.
Awesome. So tell us, who is Rosalind Warnham?
Rosalind Warnham is known as Queen in the community, but other than that, I'm a mother of four beautiful daughters. I'm an advocate, and I'm a problem solver. I am a community activist, community organizer, and I'm a woman of faith.
Okay. All right. And so why did you choose to throw your hat in the ring, per se?
Well, I thought about it over the past couple of years. I was back and forth with it, and I was going to do it a couple of years ago, and then I decided to be on the team to assist at one point some of the city councilors at large running, in the mayoral race, and then just city councilors, themselves, and then state rep Liz Miranda. And when I started seeing the difference in the change in the city is what made me want to jump in this particular race in my district. And I get those questions a lot because it's diverse, but in the area that I live in, it's a little different. You don't see as many people of color. Right. So it's very interesting. And then seeing everything that's going on in City Hall, I said, I can help make a difference. I can help change the community, District 3, the city. For one, I am very transparent. I care about our communities, compassionate about the people. And that's what needs to happen. There's a lot of self-energy in our city, and it's all about self. But when you take self out of it, you have the community. And we have to care about the people that we live next to, our families that are dealing every day in different issues that are going on. And City Hall, to me, is like they're there, a lot of them, not everyone, but sometimes they're not forceful enough or they're not involving the community, I want to say, in various things. They're not hearing what the community needs. The communities ask. And so forth. Yep. So that's a reason. One of the main reasons is to let your voice be heard. Get our voice out here in the community and make some changes.
With that said, obviously, as you talk about our community, right? We see what's happening in the city of Boston. It's what's happening all across the country. Many of us refer to it as gentrification.
Yes.
Where people who are black and brown and poor who've been here, who are being pushed out because they can't afford, because housing is something that every little piece of land and private homes are being sold, and churches are being sold and knocked down and becoming high-end condos.
Absolutely.
So with that happening, and what is your strategy? How are we going to address that? I mean, because it's a problem. And when we talk about returning citizens, and I know, again, as we just said, the House of Correction falls in that area.
Absolutely.
And one of the biggest things for people coming out of incarceration is suitable fair housing that's affordable. And to live in community, because they're pushed out of so many other housing restrictions because they now have a record.
Correct.
So public housing and other kinds of things, and so strategy, because we see a building boom is happening, and making a living wage. And so what would be some of the ways that you would propose that we can address that?
Well, like I said earlier, the reason why a lot of this is going on is because they're not hearing us. They're not hearing the community. And there should be more community involvement, community organizing with the city councilors. They're fighting amongst themselves. Okay, and then we go to the next level, to the state. So we see, like you said, the affordable housing. That has to be a change there. How are we raising the rents in the high mortgages in our areas? And the pay wage is staying the same, or it's not matching. So make it make sense. So to answer your question, I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day.
That's right.
Okay. But it takes time to kind of strategically think about these things, get together, get a plan, but let's get the people involved. We talk about regentification every day. We're seeing it all over the world.
Yes.
It's national, it's
Yeah.
nationwide.
Sure.
And we're being pushed out of and not just, I'll say black people, I'll say people of color, everyone, the lower class white folks or what have you, we're all being pushed out, and it's not fair. And that's why I teach my children about generational wealth, okay? But even talking about generational wealth, there's a lot of kids that may not want to live in their parents' homes or their grandparents' homes. So again, what do? Let's talk about getting a cap on these rents, because they're crazy. The redevelopment is another issue. We're building in every corner, every block there is in our community.
Sure.
It's getting overcrowded. The traffic is outrageous. You can't drive down Washington Street every day and just drive straight through. It's not even at dinner hour. It's any hour of the day, because we're overcrowded. It's almost like New York. You know, we're putting buildings on top of buildings, and then you're putting people that are coming from the suburbs, and they supposedly be the rich people, and it needs to stop. And we need to put a cap on the development. I know we need housing and stuff like that, but the AMI is 3% or whatever, 13%. You have 3 apartments in a building, maybe of 100 and something that are affordable. But what do we call affordable? How do we define affordable if somebody's supposed to make $60,000 a year? Everybody, that's not the average, yearly salary for one person. Sometimes a household of 2, a husband and wife or a couple, they don't even meet that. So we have to get a plan. We have to work on a plan, and we have to come together and talk about this, because it's talked about, but there's no action. So now it's time to put the action, where it needs to be, and make some differences.
Okay. With that said, so again, when we're talking about being able,
Excuse me.
sure, if desperate people do desperate things, right? So violence, public safety is another concern.
Yes.
And I would submit that in many instances, people are the reasons why we're having so much violence is because people are hopeless. People don't feel,
That's true.
particularly a lot of the youth violence.
There you go.
So how would you be able to address some of the violence? I mean, again, what would be some of your strategy to be able to address public safety? And let me go here real quick with that question, because
Okay, sure.
because we have a commissioner, and God bless him, a good brother. With that said, community policing, right? So there's an agency called the Massachusetts Association of Minority Law Enforcement Officers, MAMLEO. In fact, Detective Ellison hosts a broadcast every Saturday from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. right in that seat. And we have a relationship with him. And we've been encouraging, there was a time, I guess Jeep Jones was a deputy mayor, a person whom we had relationship with. So when something happens, there's a shooting, when whatever's going on, he's the person whom we call, who we trust, who we have relationship with, and
Absolutely.
to curb this violence. And we really need to, you can't just say, step up, community, and we need your help when we don't trust you, we don't have relationship with you. In fact, there's an adversarial relationship.
Come on now.
With regular kinds of police. Oh, there's some good policemen.
No, there are. Absolutely.
But there also is just a militarization and this, kind of, not like I know you. Back in the day, we used to have community policing. And so,
That's so correct.
so would you support initiative with people like Detective Ellison, who is the he's actually potentially retiring.
Right.
Because they're not seeming to seem interested
Right.
in us building a partnership with community policing like this entity, black and brown and female police officers who are experiencing sexism, racism, rank and file police officers, retired police officers. They've sued the city in many instances and won, and they keep appealing it, wasting taxpayers' dollars because they want to maintain the status quo. So would you support that kind of initiative working with MAMLIO or community policing? What would be your strategy to be able to address public safety, because what we're doing obviously is not working?
I mean, of course I would support it, because you see it every day. We're in the Ashmont area. You see a lot of crime happening right there outside your house. Walk outside your house. So I would definitely support a lot of what they're doing, because we need to get you heard about what happened over the weekend.
I did.
I'm on the trauma team, and on the trauma team, we see these things, these people every day that are getting killed. Okay, and being a part of the trauma team, it hurts.
Sure.
It hurts to see this. It may not be my family or your family, but just to see anybody laying in the street.
That's right.
So we need to get as much help as we can get to get to the bottom of how we can continue or make our streets safer. And the gun control, we have to get a hold of gun control. If that's one of this is the main thing. The guns are coming into our communities, and who's bringing them in? That's the question. Who's bringing them in? We have to get that under wraps first. And once we try to figure that out, then the rest will, we've been trying to do this for years, like you said. But we have to strategically plan and work to get this, to stabilize this issue, because it's a major epidemic in our communities, not just Dorchester. It's all over.
That's right.
It's all over. And I definitely would support, any authorities that are trying to make this change. Most definitely.
Well, that said, back to living wage. So everyone's not going to go to college. Right?
Absolutely.
Though this is the educational mecca of the world, and I would submit that the colleges here that don't pay taxes are supposed to do this pilot payment in lieu of taxes. That's not being enforced. And they're taking up every piece of real estate. They're sprawling out. They're getting resources from people all
everywhere
across the world.
Yes.
But people who live right here in Boston are having underperforming schools that can't even participate in those same institutions of higher learning that people are coming from all across the world for our world-class education system.
That's true.
And so what would you enforce? What would you do to be able to hold them more accountable, these institutions of higher learning that are not doing their fair share with this pilot in particular, to be able to actually enforce that? Would that be something that you would hold them accountable? And just the interest off the endowment of a Harvard University, a percentage could help adopt the underperforming public schools to bring them up to par, to be able to even connect with them.
Right. Definitely. And when I say this, I would definitely hold them accountable, but once we would have to have a seat at the table. We would bring them to the table, and we would have to definitely let them know what we stand for one, because, we can say and do and dance around everything. Yep. But if you don't make any moves or make any actions, it's just sitting there, and nothing's going to be addressed. So with me, and everyone knows who I am, I'm a powerhouse. I will hold them accountable. I will stand toe to toe, and we will bring it to the table, have a round table, and figure this out. But because it has to be fixed, we can't continue.
In that same vein, talk about the people, the elected officials have to do what the people want us to do. Here, they've had a referendum, and it has been overwhelming that the people in the city of Boston want a fully elected school committee. We're the only city in the Commonwealth that does not have an elected school committee. Our mayor has campaigned on a hybrid, and in spite of the voices that have said this is what we want, she is insistent on not hearing that. And listen, I care for her. I think she's right. With that said, we elect you to do what we want you to do.
Come on now.
not to do what you want to do.
There you go.
So
Speak.
what is your position with regard to elected, hybrid, or appointed school committee?
So I mean, I know there's a hire and you're here, but you have a city council.
Mm-hmm.
You have a team.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a team and if there's 5 saying nay
Mm-hmm.
and you have 3 saying yay,
Mm-hmm.
it should be the 5. And it shouldn't be just you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not, to me, I don't think that's, and I'm probably going to get, it is what it is. But I mean, we have a right of freedom of choice and freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's enough saying that we don't feel that that's right, I know you're the final, but it should be some type of collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
We work together. We're a city council. And if I'm on that city council, we're going to get this plan as a whole, not just one person. Because my grandmother used to say, if the head is not right, the rest of the body's not going to be right. So we got to fix the head first, get it right. And if not, then we have to move on.
I mean, the challenge with the way that I believe that our city council works is that, quite candidly, the majority of the power almost for the city council is in passing the mayor's budget. So that's where they have power, because she has to submit the budget to them.
Yeah.
They have to say yay or nay.
That's right.
But any other, they could unanimously decide they want something, and she can single-handedly veto it. That's the way I understand the Constitution
that's
is
true.
as it stands.
And that's true.
So, you know, so really the only power is in saying, no, we're not gonna pass your budget. So the elected school committee, quite candidly, even if they all said we wanted to do it, and the city has spoken, right? The people of the city of Boston,
Right.
Not even the city councils, the people, they did a referendum, and it's been overwhelming. However, she is not
Budging, basically.
no. So I think with that said, again, and as you said, we elect people, including the mayor. So if you're not going to hear us, then any elected official, that's the power of the people. And so, but your position as it relates to, would you support an elected school committee, a hybrid, which is what she wants to do, or a fully appointed, which is what it stands now?
I mean, I would stand for elected. I would, definitely.
Okay.
And see who's going to be right for the job. Absolutely. I would definitely, because sometimes, I mean, we elect people, I mean, and it may not be always the right person, because it happens.
Sure.
And we appoint people, and it may not be the right, you know what I mean?
Well, the difference is when we elect them, we can also
Hold them accountable.
We can hold them accountable and
Yes.
have somebody else
And
to put
there
them in
you
their place.
go.
We can
And
hire
that-
them and they fire them.
That's where
when
the
they're
power
appointed,
lies.
they're beholden
Thank
to who
you.
appointed them, who's the mayor.
That's true. You're right.
So that's why people are saying we want, because you get to elect people from different districts who's
Right,
going to represent your children and your district and
Absolutely.
the collective school committee.
There you go.
So you would support it being elected.
Absolutely. 110%.
Okay. With that said, there's a lot of controversy, even with regard to, now I want to say the John D. O'Brien moving it, and to another area when, or Madison Park. And so,
To West Roxbury.
yeah. So I mean, and again, without input from the community, like a press conference was held, and people were like, wow. And so
Put
what
the
is your
brakes on.
position?
I'm very disappointed in that, because this is, a school that's been in the community forever. We have great kids, children, students that have excelled in that school, and taking it out of our community for what purpose? What's the reason? What's the real reason? Okay, let's get down to that. Are we going to put a housing development there? Is that the reason why you want to take the school, this big, great school, out of the I'll say the minority community,
Sure.
because it's very diverse now.
Yes.
I won't just say black community,
Sure.
and move it over to the white community, For what purpose? When it served the purpose for all these years, the awesome purpose for our children to excel to the highest level. For what? And to make us travel out of our community. So that, again, if you see the bigger picture, it's pushing us out of the community. Education. Now, okay, so my children, I can't live over here in Roxbury anymore because I don't want my children to travel. So I'm going to move into West Roxbury, where we probably are not welcome the way we are in Roxbury. You see what I'm saying?
I do, and quite candidly, don't believe that. I mean, the public school systems are decrepit buildings are full. They haven't fully maximized the capacity of the benefit for them being high quality, the optimal quality that they could be, even with, and not just for the students, but even for vocational, grown folks. Like, are you familiar with T. Michael from the People's Academy?
Oh my goodness! I was in a conversation with him. I had a interview. I guess at Anissa George House at Anissa Sabi George,
Yes.
Former city council at large,
Yes.
and I know him. I've met him before, but to know what he's doing and what he's standing for, he's very powerful.
Yes.
People need to jump on board and work with him because he doesn't seem like he's getting all the support that he needs. But we don't. When you are a person that speaks out for the right, of course, you're called a troublemaker or a problem. So I did meet him formally again, and we talked about some things, a few lots that he was intertwined that he was supposed to have, and because the city, did some stuff that he couldn't get it, and this person got, I think it was Harvard Street up on Blue Hill Ave. But I'm definitely going to connect with him, even with my church issue of what we're dealing with, to move on to the next level. So with that being said, I hear a lot and I see what he's trying to do. And he needs the support.
And I'll tell you, interesting enough, I mean, his position is he's a regular on Boston Praise.
Absolutely.
I have his jewelry and support his
Good.
I wear his shirts. I think it's trades, not triggers, is his motto.
Yes, that's it. That's trades, not triggers. I love it. I love it. Yes.
And so he's doing an outstanding job with being able to have returning citizens again
There you go.
learn a craft that they can make a living wage.
Yes.
So one of the things is Frank Baker has been his sole supporter per him in the city council, and obviously he's not running. So District 3 person, he is looking for another strong
Who's gonna support?
advocate
He did say that.
in the absence of Frank Baker. So would you be a
Absolutely.
supporter?
Absolutely.
Outstanding.
All day. I would
Outstanding.
definitely. Because I hear and I see his compassion for our people, for the community at large, for the city of Boston, and he's a grassroots organization.
Doing it out of his home.
And he's doing it out of his home. And a lot of the stuff that he's doing, I have done. Doing my women's program, doing it from my home, when certain places that I used to use and have meetings, and using my own funds. I'm not getting funds. I'm not getting grants. I received one grant from when Rachel Rollins was in. But other than that, small, but it served a purpose to help some of the women to provide them with resources and so forth. But and the younger ladies for programs. But I hear what he's saying. I love his work. I see the tenacity he has for the people, and the resiliency is crazy, and I can relate to a lot of that, and I'm there, 110.
In that same vein, there's a woman, Stacy Borden.
I know Stacy.
Okay,
Yes.
so you're familiar with New Beginnings?
Yes, I am.
And so is that something, again, she has the only women's reentry program that's run by a returned citizen.
That's right.
That's trauma informed.
Absolutely.
So, and there are many people who don't want when returning citizens
Yes.
in my backyard.
Nope, I heard that.
So I'm working my Healing Our Land, Daniel Williams from Prophetic Resistance, Armand Coleman, who also is doing the Transformational Prison Project, Peace, Restorative Justice Circles, who is going into the Nashville County House of Correction, Suffolk County House of Correction, as well as into now the Department of Corrections. So collaboratively, we are desiring to get like a block of land to build.
Come on now.
Have train returning citizens
go.
to build like a 5-star hotel.
We can do it. We can do it.
That will
Let's do it.
ultimately be housing some of
Yes.
these returning citizens
Yes,
in
yes.
community.
That's right.
And do stuff with excellence that they can
is
also
good.
long-term address their trauma and do prevention.
Yes.
Is that a vision you would support?
Absolutely. So when I say my women's programs will give you, it's called Women on the Rise Incorporation. So what we do, we work with women of trauma, women of losses, women that have been incarcerated as well, to help them get their resources, get back into the community,
Yep.
to help them with jobs, clothing, how to dress, etiquette for an interview, to teach them, just manners if they have lost or just gave their self up,
Yes,
no hope,
yes.
to give them that hope, that sense of hope, and not just with people that are dressed up, people that been through it.
Sure.
You cannot tell me about hunger if you've never been hungry.
True.
Okay.
Sure.
So somebody that can relate, we can talk to people like that and help give them support. So I have this similar program, although I don't have the building, and I've been talking to the city of trying to get a safe base place for these women because they don't have it right here in Dorchester. We don't. And I want what Stacy has. It's a live-in program where they can come for so many months and they can move on or what have you. Not the type of place I want is that they can come in on a daily, like a drop-in center,
Okay.
and they do the intake, and then we evaluate them over a period of time. Of you came in like this, but you elevated over the time, over a period of months. So where are you now? So
Okay.
did you go on that interview? Did you get that job?
Okay.
Or are you getting that GED that you didn't get?
Sure.
So forth. So that's what my program is about. And if we can have that program where we can have that place, because we don't have that in our city right here in our community, that's what I'm looking to do.
Okay.
Because we have our young women that need support and not getting it. You walk up in Dorchester Ave, they're out on the streets. I'm talking to them a lot, about God, but about their future as well at the same time. So we need that, and I will, to answer your question, support that wholly. We can come together, we can collaborate, and that's the problem in our community. We're not collaborating enough.
Correct.
We need to come together. Everybody else is coming together, but we're not. We could be a force, and we are a force to be reckoned, but we just have to come together. And that's why everybody's growing and doing all of this, and they're over here, and all these different barber shops, and so we can do the same thing because we're a smart group of people.
Absolutely.
And we can do it. But we have to come together and figure out what we're missing. It's been transitioned over time. So now we have to, it's generational. Let's break that cycle. Let's make a difference.
That's it. So Massachusetts is very fiscally sound right now with the opera money and recovery money.
Yes.
And so we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to use those resources efficiently as seed money for mechanisms that will be economic engines that can sustain program. When you talk about grants, oftentimes people have to become chameleons to be able to contort, to be able to try to fit within the guidelines and then the restrictions, and then quite candidly a lot of the capacity that one needs to do to be able to do all these reports and so forth for a little bit of money. That so unrestricted kinds of resources, or using these resources as you talked about for collaborative coalition kinds of initiatives that can sustain themselves economically. So again, the vision that I'm talking about, and that I hear you talking about as well, is that we can use this as seed money for these kinds of coalition initiatives that will holistically empower
Absolutely.
communities.
Absolutely.
Okay. So with that said, healing our land, and again, this, we have a vision of a youth and young adult led, I call it a state of emergency healing and empowerment movement. That's youth and young adult led and adult and institution supported, so that no movement is a success without successors.
Yes, there you go.
We live in a generation
now.
right now that it
Yes.
seems as though if you're over 35, you are not valuable.
Right.
And listen, as a believer, the word tells us he called the old because they're wise, young because they're strong. Old men would have dreams, young men would have visions, sons and daughters would prophesy.
Absolutely.
So we're clearly in a time now that I think that the wisdom of what has happened in historically, and some of the benefits and the sacrifices that people have made for our young people to experience the things that they may feel are just for granted, need to understand the struggle and the sacrifices and the history that predates slavery. As kings and queens, they can't replicate the pyramids to date. So that's our legacy.
Come on.
So this critical race theory and the kinds of things that there is a movement now to not have that education. What is your position with regard to teaching the history? That's not white history or black history. It's history.
History. We have to, because they're slipping through the cracks. They're not getting, our children are not getting what they need. And that's part of the problem. And that's where the mental health comes in, because they're missing something. But if we are educating them, and there are parents that don't know, there's a lot.
That's true.
It's definitely a lot. But those, like you said, that are older, we just need to band together and try to work this with the history, teach the history, because there's a lot of history out here. It's legacy, and they need to be taught. And this is what they're missing. And it causes a lot of friction just in their head alone, outside of just physically seeing it, but mentally it's a problem. And it's a breakdown. It's like it's breaking them and wearing, and we need to teach the history to make it stronger, because without history there's nothing. It's knowledge. It's powerful. Knowledge is powerful.
Absolutely. And back to education, our Roxbury Community College was in danger of receivership. And this is what's happening with a lot of the public schools are in danger of receivership.
Yes.
So now there is this contention between those who have the benefit of charter school versus public school, Metco, if you're getting a lottery,
Charter, yes.
but that's a limited group of people. So, and my understanding is if you have the luxury of going to a charter school, and unfortunately there's some challenges, now you go back to the public school, the dollars stay with the public school.
Yeah, yes, that's true.
So, so what in terms of and I don't believe that there's been a new high school. Charles Yancey has been advocating to have one built.
I think he was in Mattapan, right? Is that it?
I don't know. I think he's been advocating for it. I don't know that it's actually happened. I mean, they're charter schools. I don't know that there's been a new public high school.
No, I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
No.
So, but again, Charles Yancey has been advocating for that all through his time.
Yes, he has.
And I don't think it's manifested yet.
I don't think so.
So is that something that you feel you would support in terms of how would you address this whole charter school, public school, bringing the public schools up to par with the decrepit buildings, they're falling apart there, and the violence. So one of the things is metal detectors. There's also talking about public safety officers or resource officers. There's been a big push like mental health and social services. Do you think that that's something that you okay? Okay.
Keep talking. I'm
Okay.
good.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. So,
Excuse me.
that's fine. So, is that something that you support? There are some city councils right now that there's some contention about. Do we have? You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have metal detectors? Do we have safety resource officers? Do we have social workers? Do we have all of the above? What is your position with regard to how we're going to keep people safe, as well as teachers being knocked out? You know, people coming into school with guns, knives, right? And this is happening.
That's true, and it's sad.
So how do we fix it?
Well, I believe that with all of that, I'm for more security. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm for definitely more securities in the school because it's a different day. Social workers, of course, we need it. That's where the mental health is happening.
Yes.
They're coming from home. They're not even, some of them are not, they're coming from home and they have issues. And then they bring it to school. And then some of it stems from being around other people. You know, the peer pressure, what have you, depression,
Sure.
the bullying. So yes, I my daughter experienced bullying, and it's not a good feeling. And sometimes the administration don't do what they're supposed to do when it's time. Okay, I'm not faulting all the because there are some great teachers in the schools.
Absolutely.
But there are some that just get a paycheck.
Absolutely. I mean, there was a situation most recently that, you know, kind of got swept under the rug of some violation of students via staff. And again, it was, was quickly swept under the rug.
Quiet, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, so you would submit, I'm hearing you say that, yes, you support, resource officers in schools.
Safety, absolutely.
And potentially metal detectors?
I mean, absolutely. They're bringing guns to school today. They're bringing knives to school.
Yes.
And if your child, my child, and some people are, I don't want that because, I mean, it's sad that it has come to that.
Yes.
But you get checked going through the airport.
You get checked going to City
going
Hall.
to City Hall. What's the difference?
Disneyland.
Right. What's the difference?
I don't
It's
see
sad.
it. Yeah.
We have to keep our children safe. So if it means getting metal detectors, so be it. Has to happen.
Okay.
More therapists and social workers, absolutely.
Yes.
They had a budget, for the ESSER, the budget, the funding for that. That's getting ready to run out. That was to cover the social workers, more social workers in the school, the therapists. So what are we doing about that? Let's talk about what's going to happen for the next school year to have therapists and social workers to be paid, because that budget is almost at its end if it's not. So these are things that have to be brought to the table. Let's discuss these things, because it's major. Education, as you see on my flyer, is top notch for me. My daughters all went to great schools, but everybody doesn't have a chance to go to that. Okay, and everybody should be treated equal, emotionally, definitely, and academically. No matter IEPs. My daughter was on an IEP. My last daughter, that's a senior, and they didn't give her. They missed her reevaluation over for a year and a half, and that's not good.
Not at all.
No, and then it makes it bad for our children for when they get out of school and go to college. Not getting the proper services provided for them when they are needed.
Absolutely.
That's a problem.
Absolutely.
And us as parents have to hold them accountable and stand toe to toe to let them know. Because if not, our children are failing. And that's not we're not supposed to allow to happen as parents.
Let's go to Madison Cass. I call it Miracle Mile. People call it Methadone Mile. Yeah, but listen, they're miracles, right? In my mind, right. And the fact that they and so there. What would be your, because it falls in District 3.
It's in District 3.
So
it's my district.
What would be your strategy? Because I understand, in fact, I was again just away in Chicago, and I came back and saw the news of one violence that I think Tanya Council Fernandez Anderson, I understand, was mugged or they took her phone or whatever. I understand she's gotten it back, but the fact that it happened, the violence is supposed to be at a tipping. As I go into the Suffolk County House of Correction and even minister to this population, it just breaks your heart to see the active drug sales and use and injection that should just not be out there like this.
Happening.
These precious souls that are, that some want recovery, some don't want recovery, right? But the sweeps, I understand that a sweep, I think it happened or it's happening. I believe that they did some sort of a warrant or whatever to be able to go and take the tents down. And they do this, but if you don't address the problem and you just, these people, this their whole belongings, their whole life is there. Now, I don't think the human trafficking, I don't think the public safety, the public health crises, I don't think that people should be, really just the violence and the active drug sales that's going on should be happening. But we know that many of the people who are on Long Island when the bridge is down. Now the mayor is saying that's a 4 or 5 year strategy. So what would be your plan to address this issue?
Well, first of all, I think we're doing a lot of building, like I said, a lot of redevelopment on every corner.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is creating condominiums, unaffordable housing. We have buildings all up and down Mass Ave or behind anywhere.
Yeah.
Tall buildings up behind Magazine Street, all those buildings going down Magazine Street that are empty.
Yes.
Been empty for years.
Sure.
Big industrial buildings.
That's right.
Why can't we take those buildings, open them up, fix them up, redevelop those buildings, and have beds, showers, and a cafeteria for these people that are homeless on Mass Ave, right down the street? If she's talking about the bridge takes 3 or 4 years, which I don't think it will. We're putting money everywhere else where it doesn't need to be. Massachusetts has a lot of money.
You do.
We have a lot of money here. So if we can put money in free transportation, subway, why can't we put money into putting these homeless people somewhere? All of them, granted, are not going to go because they're used to, but it takes a few to start it, get it. They see what's happening. Oh, this is better for me. But they don't know. Don't want to do better if they don't know better. So let's show them the way. If they have 100, 500 people out there, or 200, and if you have 200 people, and even if we only got 50, that's a start.
Absolutely.
It cleans up the area. I know we can get that bridge back open. There is a reason why they did that.
Well, they said the bridge was decrepit and it was falling apart. Infrastructure. Back to these money that's for infrastructure.
There you go.
And Quincy does not want the bridge rebuilt.
No, they don't. No. And a lot of those people are not from Boston.
That's
They're
true.
from all these other areas.
That's true.
They're not from Dorchester, Roxbury, Jamaica Plain, East Boston. They're from all outside.
Sure.
But they're right here.
Yes.
And people can't even drive by in their cars without getting knocked on their window or walking down the street to almost getting mugged. My daughter, I'm going to give you this incident. My daughter, I have to laugh, excuse me. Excuse me. My daughter got off the highway. I think one daughter went to pick up the other daughter from the airport. And they pulled into the gas station there. And the guy got out and was walking up and down. She thought they worked there. Excuse me. Knocked on the window. She didn't mind. Pour my gas. $20. The boy ran off with it. He was a homeless guy. So this is what we get.
Wow. Yeah, and the businesses there, can't want to be able to patronize in that area, having to navigate all that's going on there.
That's true.
So,
and so it's sad, but that's what I would do. I would get a plan implemented to try to get those buildings. Do something with them for these people. Because what are we doing? We're bringing people, and I'm not against other countries, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
but we're bringing them from other countries, people on bus loads coming in from Florida, from Mexico, or what have you, with no IDs. But we have people live right here. Charity begins at home. Let's take care of these people that live here and see what the issue is. But we're just giving everybody else free housing and free food stamps and, well, don't have to do nothing. These people need help. And then they're right next to the hospital. So you're feeding them too. You're giving them, okay, come on over, let's get your, your fix, your methadone, right. So they're right in the midst. So it's easy for them. The area is definitely not the area for that. But this is what we're doing. We're enabling these people.
Well, and it's a mindset. There are some who even, and I'm curious to hear your position with regard to, I mean, some people are about, their model is, what do you call it? Sobriety and recovery. Right. They deal with the trauma. There are other folks whom are harm reduction. Right. So you're actively going to use, and they even had active injection drug sites at one time here in the city of Boston, where people who were they're going to do drugs, like they're going to shoot.
Absolutely.
And HIV and AIDS, people were sharing needles and killing. So they had safe injection sites that they could be supervised. You could build a relationship with them. They're exchanging the needles, and it's not out. It's in a place that is monitored, God forbid, so the fights and all the other kind of stuff that goes with that and it's something a person overdoses, you can treat them. So, what is your position with regard to that as a part of the strategy being harm reduction, or do you think it's one or the other, or do you it's some combination of the two, or and something else?
I just think it's a combination of both. Yeah.
Okay. Well, with 4 minutes left.
4 minutes? Okay.
I'm going to give the mic to you, and you have our audience. Why should they vote for Rosalind Warnham for District 3?
Hi, everyone. So I'm Rosalind Warnham. And I don't know if they had any questions on there. If you
nothing. No.
Oh, okay.
Nothing's gone.
Great. So I am, like I said in the beginning, a mother of four, and I'm an advocate, organizer, community organizer. I fight for housing rights. Although I'm a homeowner, I still care about the people in the community in the city of Boston. I would love to have your vote in, of course, District 3. I don't know. I said so much earlier all through this.
I'm just good. Your website, how they can contact you.
But you can contact me. I'm on Facebook, and I have an email, rcwarnham@gmail.com. My telephone number is, and you can also text me, 857-212-1199. Again, 857-212-1199. We're out canvassing every day. We can always use your support. You can come out and knock some doors with us. One thing I do want to say, Pastor Franklin, I'm a grassroots person. I knock those doors. We have knocked these two young ladies that are with me today. They're my girlfriend's friends, Harmony and Faith, from Renee's Peace in the Hood program. They are very, very supportive. As youth, that's 12 awesome. And 13 years old, they knock doors, like a couple of hundred a day while school's out. We hit these doors. In the past 2 weeks, we've probably hit about maybe 8,000 doors, and we knock. We don't have the money that a lot of these, other candidates have, or getting those endorsements. Sure. But people want to see you. They want to hear what you're about. They want to know your experience. So I'm experienced in this type of work. And I will support the community and be the community's voice, but also hear the community. Their voice will be heard. Okay? And when I say that, I didn't get the endorsements, but you see me. I can't put a stamp on the envelope or getting paid or all these endorsements to throw it in the mailbox. And everybody says, oh, this is Rosalind Warnham. No, I don't have that. I didn't get that liberty. But the liberty I have is what you see is what you get. This is me. I'm transparent. And when we rise together, we win together. And I say it's a reconnection for a new direction in District 3.
Outstanding. Lastly, I do need to say this. So with regard, I want to thank you for, I know you were not able to come, but your representative was able to come with us inside.
Karan Kendall, yes.
Thank you. The Suffolk County House of Correction, Joel Richards, did come. We've got some other candidates that are coming with us on Thursday to make sure that everyone has an opportunity.
Absolutely.
So I just want to thank you, because many people don't take the time to go behind the wall to be able to directly engage and have a platform for our returning citizens. With that said, we have a a mobile ballot box initiative that we're working with Sheriff Tompkins and the Elections Department and the Secretary of State to actually implement, as the Votes Act has been passed here in the state of Massachusetts to ensure those who are serving misdemeanors waiting pre-trial can exercise the right that they already have. There's no infrastructure to exercise that right, which is why we're mobilizing volunteers, bringing in the absentee ballot applications, registration forms, and the candidates and their platforms.
Yes.
But we want to institutionalize that to be able to have the